Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks exciting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. Oh, and just one more thing before we go. Please consider like, commenting, and subscribing if you enjoyed the video. But now with all that out of the way, let's carry on with the video. Okay, so with Vex and Vax here, I've given them two different priming styles. So one I've just given with a xanathar prime, which is Vex here, and the other is Vax, and I've just given him a straight black prime. So I'm going to be painting these two up, switching between the two, but pretty much I'm going to try and stick as much as I can to one and then switch to the other, but if anything applies in between I will switch in between. But as you can see here, we want to start off with our skin tone, and I'm using neutral flesh for this. Now I'm going to be applying this to the paint as well, to Vex as well, just off camera. I'm just going to be showing you on one at a time unless anything else comes up. Then once we have that skin painted up, we're going to come in with some highlights now. So I'm going to be using neutral flesh again, and I'm just mixing in a little bit of highlight skin. As well as that too, I painted in the eyes. I accidentally lost the footage for the eyes, so sorry about that, and that's just coming in with white and then dotting in with the black. Just being steady and taking your time. But with our highlights here, we want to be aiming for the highest points. They're sort of like the brow, the tip of the nose, and tip of the chin. Then once we have that highlight of the skin complete, we're going to come in now with some reikland fleshshade, and this is going to be our wash for our miniatures here, and this is of course just applying it over top. Now you can see I'm placing it on quite thick and rough here, and you can see it's gotten into the eyes, so don't worry about that. What you can do to quickly fix any problems like that is apply it how you want to, then quickly grab a wet damp brush, so I've quickly cleaned off my wash on here, and then come in and wipe it out to clear up those spots. Then once we have that skin tone completely washed up, we're going to come in now with a deep blue, and this is going to be for our cloak of Vax. So Vax wears completely black armor and clothing. Since he is an assassin and a rogue, he prefers to wear dark colors, and I want to try and bring out other colors while still keeping it black. So we can have completely black clothing but have it still separated out from each other and still read as completely black. And coming in with deep blue here and just dry brushing it over top of the cloak is going to help give it that subtle tint of blue. Then with that complete, what we're going to be doing now is coming in with some black grey, and this is a very dark grey, which wouldn't look like it considering we have a lot of black around here, and this is going to lighten it up. One thing too, it might be a little bit hard to see some of the differences in colour on camera since I'm dealing with a lot of very dark colours and very close to black. So I'm just warning you now, it is a lot more easy to see in real life than it is to see on the camera, so I'll try to do my best here, but hopefully you can see some of the slight differences. Then once we have his chest armor complete, we're going to come in with necromancer cloak, which is sort of a very dark brownish grey, so different again from the black grey we just used before. And we're going to be using this for his pants, and it's a matter of coming in and painting them up. You may be able to see a little bit of a difference, that it has a slight brown tinge compared to what we just painted before, which nearly almost looks grey in comparison, but it's still very, very dark. And then it's just a matter of coming in and making sure we get a good coating of all of that. Then once we have his pants painted up, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a mix of some matte black and smoke. So just adding in a tiny drop of our matte black in there with the smoke to really darken that down. And smoke is a very strong tinted like brownish color as well, which is very different from our necromancer cloak color as well. It has a little bit of a shine to it as well once it dries, so it'll also stand out a little bit too. And I'm going to be using this, of course, as you can see here, for his gloves and his boots. So we've got a whole bunch of different colors on here, and they're going to hopefully read as slightly different. Then once we've done that, what we're going to do now is going to come in with some burnt umber, which is a dark brown. And this one we're just going to be just straight using the burnt umber. And this is going to be for his belts and the pouches that he has on him. Something that is not actually black on him. I didn't want to have completely everything black. We've got to have a little bit of color in there as well. But since it's a very dark brown, it's going to help still tie it in and still keep everything reading as black. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to be doing the hair. And this is going to be done with dark stone, which is another dark brownish black color, and of course it's going to be applied to both with Vex and Vax with certain things like this. And as we can see, it's, even though it's a very dark colour on its own. It stands out as quite a bright brown on the rest of these other colours we've applied. Now that we have that here complete, what we're going to be doing now is going to move on with some metallics. I'm going to be using some gunmetal for this, and he has two areas, of course, which are his daggers that he has in his hands. So just giving them a nice overall paint job as well. As well as that, Vex also has arrowheads, so we're going to be painting those up as well. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to do now is going to use some dark tone, which is of course a black wash, and we want to wash this over the entirety of the model, except for of course our skin tone, which we already have applied the wash, giving it a nice good overall coat. And this is going to really tie all of the colors in together and make them all very black. It's going to make it a lot more subtle than what we have it right now, and then hopefully it'll read as everything black with that slight tint of colour on each part. Then once we have our wash completely dry, we're going to come in with some green tone, and this is just going to be for one little sort of effect on our miniature here, and that is Vax's poison dagger. And I'm just giving it a green wash so you can see there's like a green magical effect with like poison dripping off it. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some iyanden yellow, and this is going to be for his other daggers, other quite famous one he uses, which was his flame tongue dagger, and I wanted to give that a sort of nod to with this iyanden yellow to give off the effect that it has pulsating magical energy. Okay, so now that we have Vax all completed, we're going to come up now with Vex, and we're going to start off with some kantor blue. And for this, we're going to be using it for the big billowing cloak she's wearing, being careful to avoid anywhere else, since a cloak billows over a lot of other places. And you can see on here some of the other places I've painted up on Vex with some of the colours we used from Vax, and that is, of course, the burnt umber for our boots, and then our necromancer cloak for her pants. Then with that complete, what we're going to be doing now is coming in with some electric blue, which is a nice bright vibrant blue, and we want that for her main armor and cloth that she has over the front of her to give her that iconic Vex look with that very standout color. And it's just a matter of coming in there and being careful to not get it over anywhere we don't want it to, especially since there's a lot of little intricate details over this part, so being careful around the neck and places like that. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some blue tone wash. And what we're going to be doing is, of course, applying this over our blue area, so her armor that she has on, as well as her dark blue cloak. And this is going to tie them together, as well as darkening them all down, giving them so that you can see all those nice bits of detail sculpted in, especially on that nice chest piece she has on her too. It's got a lot of little intricate details, and that wash is going to help bring those out. And with that completely dry, what we're going to be doing now is going to come in with some ivory. And we're going to be using this for just a couple of small places on the miniature. The nice fur collar that she has around her neck, we want to be painting that up. As well as that, we also want to be painting up all of the feathers on her arrows. So make sure you pick those out. Don't forget also the one in her hand as well. Then once we have those areas painted up, what we're going to do now is coming in with some leather brown. And we're going to be using this for the belts that Vex is wearing on her. So she's got a couple of quite prominent belts. We want to be using those. And with the leather brown, this is a nice bright brown color. It's going to really help stick out against the blues that we have on here too, and really give a nice eye-attracting place to look at on the miniature. Then once we have those belts painted up, what we're going to be doing now is going to coming in with some mahogany brown. And what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be using it for her bow, which is a nice different shade, more of a reddy brown, and it's going to really help stand out from the other browns we have on there too, to help give some visual interest to the piece as well. But by all means, if you just want to use a couple of different browns, or even just one brown, go ahead and do that. But I want to have pieces separated out so you can really get a distinct look amongst the whole miniature. Then once we have that painted up, what we're going to do now is we're going to come in with some brassy brass. I'm going to use this for some metal working parts on the miniature, as well as, so we want to be painting up her quiver here, you can see, with the nice sort of like filigree and stuff on there, so we want to be carefully picking that out. As you can see, I'm running my brush sort of flatly over the top when it comes to the nice sculpted detail that we have here, just running along the top so we can pick that out without accidentally hitting the quiver itself. As well as that, I'm also going to be picking out a couple of the filigree parts on the bow too. Then once we have those pieces picked out, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with our kantor blue once again, mixed in with a little bit of ivory to lighten it up, and we're going to be doing some highlighting on the cloak here. So it's just a matter of coming in and picking out the highest points where the sun would naturally hit, as well as the tips of the nice big folds to really show off that there's a lot of light hitting there and give a nice eye-attracting piece, especially from a distance. You'll notice a lot of these highlights on here with the big nice flowing billows in the cloak especially. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to move on with some electric blue once again, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing we did with our kantor blue in the last step, just mixing it in with just a tiny little bit of ivory in there to lighten it up, and then using it on the highest points of our miniature here. And on here we can see we've got a little bit of slight folds in that. As well as that, we've also got that nice intricate detail on our armor we want to pick out too. Then once we have those highlights picked out, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come in with some agrax earthshade, and this is going to be applied to the brown areas of the miniature that we've painted up. So that's everywhere, like her bow, her pants, her boots, just places like that we want to give a nice good overall wash. As well as that too, I'm also going over our metal areas as well to give them a bit of wash and highlight, shadow I mean, sorry. And also the fur collar she has on as well, don't forget that too. Then with all that complete, what we're going to be doing now is going to come in with some xanathar blue, which is a very bright, vibrant sort of turquoisey blue. And we're going to be using this for the feathers that Vex has in her hair. Just nicely picking those out to give that nice bit of iconic detail of Vex herself and really make it stand out from the other blues we have on her as well. And then with all that complete, we have both Vex and Vax painted up, and what we need to do is just paint our base. So I'm just going here with a nice standard black base, which I've done with all of my Critical Role miniatures I've painted up so far. But if you want to put on a fancy base, go right ahead. But with all that said, let's move on to some of those glamour shots so we can see what they came out like. And with all that complete, we've finally finished painting up Vex and Vax from the Critical Role miniatures line by Steamforged Games. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, whether you want to follow along with what I did here, or you just want to use this video for some inspiration in painting up your own miniatures. But with all that said guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.